With their harmonies and musical impact, the Judds, a once iconic and significant country music pair, captivated the globe. They were a mother-daughter team that was quite successful in the 1980s, but in reality, it wasn't always prosperity and celebrity. Wynonna, now older, eventually tells them what happened to their favorite band, the real story of the Judds. The Judds' first major break came after a Nashville music executive soon spotted them. The Judds gained popularity because to their distinctive style, which combined pop and country elements, and their strong mother-daughter bond. In 1984, they published their first album Why Not Me, which later became a commercial hit. A series of #1 songs, such as Mama, He's Crazy, Why Not Me and Grandpa, Tell Me About the Good Old Days, came after it. However, Naomi Judd was dealing with severe personal health problems at the time of the Judds' popularity. Hepatitis C was the diagnosis made for Naomi, persistent liver illness that will eventually end their joint career. Nevertheless, the Judds' influence on country music was indisputable, and their songs continued to speak to millions of people. They were one of the most successful country duos ever after winning several Grammys, American Music Awards, Country Music Association Awards, and CMA Awards. But Naomi's health issues and the demands of celebrity started to wear both ladies down. The physical and mental strain of her sickness was particularly difficult on Naomi, and this would ultimately be a major factor in the Judds' breakup as a couple. The band then broke up. Both Naomi and Wynonna Judd had a melancholy time in their life during the Judds' latter years and their ultimate breakup, when their successful music careers started to give way to personal and health-related challenges. The Judds' later years were marred by the toll of emotional and physical difficulties, both individually and collectively, notwithstanding their early years of reaching previously unheard-of heights in country music. One of the most famous duos in country music ended because to Naomi's health problems, Wynonna's changing identity, and the demands of celebrity. The Judds' breakup is not only a tale of musical achievement, it also illustrates the intricacy of familial bonds and the difficulties of striking a balance between one's personal and professional commitments. After being founded in the early 1980s, the Judds swiftly rose to prominence as one of the most popular and profitable bands in country music. With a string of award-winning albums that combined classic country music with contemporary elements, Naomi and her daughter Wynonna gained extraordinary success. Their characteristic sound was created by their harmonies, which combined Wynonna's strong expressive voice with Naomi's tender caring tones. Songs such as Mama He's Crazy, Grandpa Tell Me About the Good Old Days, and Love Can Build a Bridge struck a deep chord with listeners, solidifying the Judds' status as a country music icon. The Judds were invincible throughout the 1980s and early 1990s. They rose to prominence in the country music industry because to their stirring live performances and intensely intimate songs. Naomi, who began her musical career after years of working as a nurse, has come to represent perseverance and achievement. Her daughter Wynonna, who was becoming a formidable solo artist in her own right, was fostering a dynamic inside the group that made them an incredible musical force. But when Naomi's health issues started to negatively impact her and the group, this successful phase would ultimately come to an abrupt end. When Naomi was diagnosed, there were few available medical therapies for hepatitis C, and her condition quickly worsened. It became evident that Naomi would not be able to continue performing at the demanding pace required for their music profession as her illness deteriorated. The Judds had to make a tough choice because of the medical effects of hepatitis C and the demanding schedule of recording and traveling. The Judds announced their dissolution in 1991, in the height of their popularity. Fans who had come to adore the duo's music and their emotional bond were shocked and devastated by the decision. The dissolution was mostly caused by Naomi's health issues, particularly her continuous fight with the illness and the therapies that followed. The Judds' final performance, which took place in December 1991, was a moving farewell to a career that had reached amazing heights. Naomi and Wynonna gave their final performances as a duet on their farewell tour, the Farewell Tour. Both mother and daughter experienced intense emotion as it became evident that the Judds chapter was coming to an end due to Naomi's declining health. Even though it was a very tough choice, Naomi and Wynonna knew they had to put Naomi's welfare first. Collectively, the Judds were extinct. Was it a successful outcome, the effect of a conclusion? In addition to being a personal tragedy for Naomi and Wynonna, the Judds' breakup was a landmark event in the history of country music. The Judds had been a dominant influence in the genre, fusing modern ideas with classic country sounds. Together they produced tunes that would be remembered for many years. Their music had a huge influence, and many fans were devastated to see the two of them go. But Naomi and Wynonna's careers continued after the Judds were disbanded. It was only a chapter coming to an end. Wynonna and Naomi both pursued separate careers after the breakup. Specifically, Wynonna achieved popularity as a solo performer, building on the foundation the Judds had given her. She became one of the most admired artists in country music because of her strong voice and original songs. Naomi started concentrating on her advocacy activities and personal wellness in the interim. In order to deal with her hepatitis C diagnosis, pursue treatment, and spread awareness of the illness, she spent some time out of the spotlight. Naomi also turned into a mental health champion in the years after the breakup, utilizing her position to talk about her battles with depression and the value of getting treatment. Fans still felt a feeling of nostalgia and desire for the enchantment that the Judds had given to the country music community, even if Naomi and Wynonna each achieved success on their own. Despite being necessary, the breakup signaled a dramatic change in the country music scene. After years of creating music together, Naomi and Wynonna still had a close relationship. However, the country music industry no longer recognized the duo's famous stature. Despite the Judds' official dissolution in 1991, the mother-daughter pair remained visible in society. They sometimes got back together for special concerts over the years, giving their fans a feeling of closure and reaffirming their common country music heritage. For instance, they paid homage to their past by getting back together for a special performance at the 1999 Country Music Association Awards. Fans were encouraged by this brief reunion to believe that the Judds would eventually make a full-scale comeback. But, given Wynonna's wish to concentrate on her solo career and Naomi's health issues, it was obvious that a full-time reunion was improbable. The Judds, the last encore tour, was Naomi and Wynonna's reunion tour in 2010, which included a number of concerts. The Judds' legacy chapter was thought to have resolved with this tour. By that point, Naomi's health problems had gotten worse, and the tour would be her last appearance on stage with the Judds. As they thought back on the incredible adventure they had taken together, the tour was emotional for both mother and daughter. This was probably the final time fans would see the pair perform together because of Naomi's struggle with hepatitis C and other health issues. They experienced a mix of affection, nostalgia, and a sense of complete circle in their last moments as the Judds. Wynonna and Naomi had intense emotion during the tour's last performance. Together, they had seen many ups and downs in their professional and personal lives. And for the two ladies who had created a musical empire together, the parting was a moment of closure. Mental and health issues. Naomi was raised in a working-class household. Even if things weren't always easy, Naomi had a strong love for music from a young age. Even so, she had a difficult journey to popularity. She supported herself as a nurse and pursued music as a side gig. When she and her daughter Wynonna founded the musical duet The Judds in the early 1980s, it was her big break. With Wynonna's powerful voice and Naomi's maternal demeanor, the Judds became one of the most adored performers in country music history, and their harmonies enthralled country music lovers. However, few people outside of Naomi's immediate circle completely grasped the difficulties that plagued her personal life, despite their chart-topping popularity and notoriety. Naomi Judd's struggles with her emotional and physical well-being started a long time before she rose to fame, and her life narrative would be defined by these difficulties. The diagnosis of hepatitis C was one of Naomi Judd's most significant physical health problems. While working as a nurse in the early 1980s, Naomi was afflicted with a needle stick injury that exposed her to the virus. Since hepatitis C can result in cirrhosis and causes long-term liver damage, the situation was very devastating for her. or if left unchecked, liver cancer. There weren't many therapy choices available when she was diagnosed. Additionally, Naomi battled the psychological toll that the illness had on her. Naomi had intensive treatment to fight the illness, including interferon therapy, which had a reputation for having unpleasant side effects like sadness, lethargy, and flu-like symptoms. This therapy took a toll on Naomi's physical and mental health, especially when mixed with her obligations as a musician and mother. She subsequently revealed in interviews that the hepatitis C treatment's side effects were so severe that she occasionally thought she was dying, which added to the extreme physical and mental stress she was under at the time. Hepatitis C was not the end of Naomi's health issues. She had several medical issues over the years, including knee surgery, which occasionally left her physically unable. She had to strike a careful balance between keeping a hard work and looking after her health. A complicated image of a woman managing both physical and emotional suffering was painted by the combination of these medical illnesses and the mental health struggles Naomi would encounter in the years to come. Although Naomi Judd faced several physical health issues, her mental health issues were maybe much more severe and had a greater influence on her life. Naomi was candid about her lifelong struggle with depression, which she would later characterize as both paralyzing and crushing. Naomi carried the burden of depression for many years. She was also frequently in emotional distress despite her prominence. She suffered from a deep sense of melancholy and despair, which pervaded her inner reality but were not always apparent to the outside world. In a 2016 Good Morning America interview, Naomi bravely shared her battles with serious depression. She disclosed that she had mental health issues long before she ever sought treatment, and that she had been overcome by a persistent feeling of gloom. Because of her sadness, Naomi frequently felt incapable of functioning, making even the most basic activities seem impossible. She once talked of being so enmeshed in her sadness that she couldn't leave her house for long stretches of time. Naomi's openness about her problems with depression contributed to the destigmatization of mental illness, particularly in the public eye. Her private struggles, which served as a reminder that even those who appear to have it all may deal with mental health concerns, were not well known by many fans or other artists. Naomi's experience with mental health advocacy became a distinguishing characteristic of her latter life, and her candor about her melancholy inspired many to seek assistance. The intricacies of Naomi's family compounded her health issues. Naomi was formerly married to Larry Strickland, and then to Michael Kiminella, with whom she had a daughter named Wynonna. Kiminella, Naomi's first husband, and Naomi had a challenging and emotionally taxing relationship. Later on, Naomi revealed that her first marriage had been violent, and she spent years dealing with the trauma. Naomi stayed close to her daughters in spite of the sorrow. She was committed to being a kind and encouraging mother. Wynonna and Naomi's relationship was especially complicated. Even though their musical careers brought them an incredible camaraderie, there were times when their personal relationship was tense. The relationship between Naomi and Wynonna changed as they dealt with the demands of celebrity, and they had trouble juggling their responsibilities as spouses and family. However, Naomi and Wynonna's connection became stronger as they gradually reunited over time. Despite her personal health issues, Naomi never wavered in her devotion for her kids and always put their welfare first. Naomi struggled not just with her family, but also with the demands of being in the spotlight. She had to deal with constant attention as a celebrity, which frequently exacerbated her physical and psychological issues. She turned become a mental health champion, urging people to get treatment and stop suffering in silence. She also emphasized the need of self-care and the urgent need for empathy and support for people with mental and physical chronic diseases. But her daughter experienced similar issues. What effects did this have on their relationship and band? Wynonna's resilience and breaking point. The complicated and frequently unpleasant realities of mental health are nothing new to renowned country music performer Wynonna Judd. Wynonna, who is well known for having a strong voice that has touched millions of people both individually and as a member of the renowned band the Judds, has had a difficult existence. Despite her immense success, she has encountered a number of personal obstacles that have influenced her path. Her continuous fight with mental health, which has impacted both her personal and professional lives, is at the center of these difficulties. Through her public battles, Wynonna has emerged as a powerful illustration of the intersection of personal demons and stardom, highlighting the fortitude and vulnerability required to traverse such a difficult journey. Wynonna's early years are linked to her mental health issues. Her mother, Naomi Judd, who would later become her musical collaborator, reared her when she was born in 1964. Their early years were not without difficulties, though. Wynonna and her sister Ashley grew up in a challenging household that was marked by instability and poverty. Naomi, a single mother who battled depression, was finally diagnosed with a mental disorder herself. From an early age, Wynonna had emotional discomfort due to the emotional burden of living in a home where there was financial struggle, parental health problems, and the lack of a stable father role. Her mother's struggles with mental illness exacerbated her own mental health issues. Wynonna's own mental problems were exacerbated by Naomi's despair, which frequently affected her daughters. The Judd family was certainly immune to the emotional toll of mental health issues, even though their music would eventually bring them outward acclaim. Like many kids whose parents struggled with mental health, Wynonna struggled with her own inner demons and felt burdened by her family's welfare. Audiences responded well to their mellow country music, and they soon rose to prominence as one of the genre's most popular performers. But even as her career took off, Wynonna was secretly struggling with inner torment. Her inner turmoil was not in line with the public's view of her as a dazzling and prosperous celebrity. She was frequently under tremendous pressure to keep up a professional appearance, while coping with poor self-esteem and feelings of inadequacy, which are difficulties that many individuals with mental health disorders may identify with. Wynonna has disclosed in books and interviews that the pressures of her job made her emotional and mental health issues worse. Her mental health was severely impacted by the continual pressure to perform, appear in public, and participate in media interviews. In the background, Wynonna struggled with despair, anxiety, and self-doubt, while attempting to meet the standards of perfection set by the music business and her admirers. The image of the strong, self-assured lady on stage frequently obscured her weakness and frailty when the lights were off. Like many others who struggle with mental health concerns, Wynonna's anxiety and despair were frequently ignored by the general population. How were both members affected by the same challenge? She was caught in a vicious circle of loneliness, despite her fame. She found it challenging to talk about her mental health issues because of the demands put on her as a public figure and performer. She concealed her suffering for many years, which is typical among public figures who are afraid of stigma or being perceived as weak. When Wynonna suffered a string of personal and professional losses in the 1990s, her struggles with depression became more apparent. She had a divorce and had a strained connection with her mother Naomi, which exacerbated her mental health issues. She experienced a considerable amount of emotional upheaval as a result of her personal difficulties, and she talked candidly about them throughout that time. Wynonna became a champion for mental health awareness by sharing her struggles with anxiety and despair in interviews and public appearances. Her openness in sharing her struggles with mental health was revolutionary, particularly at a period when conversations about mental health were less common. The emotional toll that family relationships take is another factor contributing to Wynonna's mental health issues. Wynonna has experienced difficulties in her connection with her own daughter, in addition to her mother's battle with depression. She felt overwhelmed and exhausted as a result of the emotional strain caused by juggling her profession, family, and mental health. Wynonna's candor with the challenges she had in her personal life, such as her tense relationships, demonstrated that she was coping with intricate emotional problems that were connected to the most profound facets of her identity, as well as her work life. When Wynonna's mother, Naomi, passed away in 2016, she experienced a profound personal loss. An important turning point in Wynonna's life was the death of Naomi following a protracted struggle with depression and her ultimate retirement from music. Wynonna struggled with loneliness, bereavement, and a profound feeling of emotional loss after losing her mother, who had also served as her mentor and musical collaborator. Wynonna had to face the full weight of her mental health issues and the emptiness left by her mother's death, therefore it was a moment of reckoning for her. Wynonna has demonstrated incredible fortitude in spite of her continuous struggles with mental health, Through treatment, self-care and adopting a more candid attitude to her challenges, she has managed to manage her anxiety and sadness throughout the years. She has set an example for those facing comparable problems by being open about her struggles. A significant aspect of her legacy has been her support of mental health awareness, and she has made use of her position to inspire others to talk candidly about their difficulties and seek assistance. Wynonna's remarkable strength and perseverance are demonstrated by her capacity to continue moving forward in both her personal and professional life in spite of the enormous obstacles she has encountered. In addition to performing and writing songs, she has emerged as a ray of hope for countless others dealing with mental health concerns. Her narrative demonstrates the strength of vulnerability, and her candor about her experience has lessened the stigma associated with mental health in the country music industry and beyond. In addition to being a part of Wynonna's personal narrative, her battles with depression, anxiety, and sorrow serve as a reminder that mental health conditions are not exclusive. Wynonna has become a mental health awareness champion and a living example of the value of perseverance in the face of hardship as a result of her experience. The relationship between a mother and daughter. Wynonna and Naomi's relationship has always been one of love and struggle, with agonizing separation and intensely intimate encounters. Their success as the Judds was largely due to their relationship, which was created through years of hardship and one goal. Their personal connection was strained, nevertheless, by the popularity and demands of the music business. Both ladies have openly discussed in interviews the difficulties they have in juggling their public personas with their responsibilities as family members. Throughout their career, Naomi was frequently seen as Wynonna's mentor, providing guidance and encouragement. But problems started to arise between the two as Wynonna became older and more self-reliant. Despite having its roots in love and concern, Naomi's domineering personality frequently made these tensions worse by causing conflict between mother and daughter. Their divergent perspectives on their personal and professional lives were among the most prominent causes of tension between Naomi and Wynonna. One of the most trying times in the Judds' history was when Naomi decided to give up music because of her health. However, it also marked a sea change in their relationship. Wynonna, who was still excited to perform, felt conflicted. She suffered with feelings of desertion and being thrown into the limelight alone, even though she understood her mother's decision. Over the years, their relationship would be significantly impacted by these unresolved sentiments. The connection between Naomi and Wynonna remained complex in the years after they retired. The two ladies would get back together for appearances and performances at times of reconciliation. However, there were also times when they were separated. Both ladies struggled to establish their own identities outside of the Judds, and the conflict between their personal and professional life sometimes resulted in dramatic outbursts. The public's infatuation with their partnership, with tabloids and fans closely examining every action they took, put their relationship to the test even more. Along with their personal hardships, the Judds were involved in a number of scandals that garnered media attention over their tenure. The public outcry over Wynonna's connection with her first husband, Arch Kelly, was one of the most important of these. After getting married in 1996 and having 2 kids together, the couple divorced in 1999. The media extensively reported on their relationship's breakdown. Additionally, the tabloids focused on Wynonna's personal difficulties at this period. Due to the dissolution of her marriage and her personal struggles with depression, there was conjecture on her capacity to sustain her work. In a similar vein, Naomi's separation with Michael Shimonella also garnered media attention. Naomi has been candid about her marital difficulties. It was tainted by adultery and emotional detachment. An important aspect of their narrative was Naomi's choice to raise Wynonna alone, which demonstrated her will to be successful in both her personal and professional life. Despite these difficulties, Naomi and Wynonna maintained a close relationship as they navigated the turbulent world of family and celebrity together. The duo's best songs. Naomi and Wynonna's strong harmonies highlight the song's lovely yet eerie tune, which makes Mama He's Crazy stand out. In particular, Wynonna's vocal performance is amazing. Her unadulterated strong voice captures the character's passion and fragility. The song's lyrics, which combined a hint of trepidation with youthful romanticism, struck a chord with listeners, sending it to the top of the country charts and winning the Judds a Grammy Award. The song, which launched their lengthy and illustrious career in country music, came to represent their triumph. Love Can Build a Bridge is a powerful song that features a beautiful orchestral arrangement, showcasing the duo's ability to combine pop and gospel elements with traditional country music. The words of the song, especially the refrain, have gained notoriety. Love has the power to unite your and my hearts. Fans were moved by the song's straightforward yet impactful message, which turned it into a rallying cry for people going through difficult times. Love Can Build a Bridge won the Judds a Grammy Award for Best Country Performance by a Duo or Group and peaked at #1 on the country charts. It continues to be one of the duo's most well-known and cherished songs, demonstrating their ability to express intense emotion via their music. Grandpa, Tell Me About the Good Old Days, another Judds hit song, is a moving meditation on nostalgia and the desire for simpler, more meaningful times. The song, which was written by Naomi and Wynonna Judd and Don Schlitz, is about a granddaughter who longs for the simpler times when morals were more obvious. Naomi and Wynonna's vocal talents are a fantastic complement for the song's gentle, introspective tone. Wynonna's passionate and heartfelt voice combined with Naomi's harmonies makes for a very poignant and unforgettable listening experience. Tell Me About the Good Old Days, Grandpa, is more than just a song about nostalgia and family. It also alludes to the need for connection and stability that all people have. One of the Judds' most cherished songs, The Heritage of the Judds, the song's themes of love, family, and generational knowledge speak to listeners of all ages. There are painful low points and amazing high points in the Judd family's narrative. Their contributions to country music are still indisputable, despite the difficulties they had on a personal and professional level. They sold millions of albums and won several accolades, achieving unheard-of success. Its songs struck a chord with listeners and became a defining characteristic of the country genre because of its themes of love, grief, and resiliency. Songs like Grandpa, Tell Me About the Good Old Days, and Love Can Build a Bridge have become anthems for anybody who has ever dealt with the difficulties of family and life, not simply country music lovers. The Judds' history is shaped by their capacity to overcome setbacks and leave a lasting impression on the music business, not only by their disputes or hardships. One of the most moving parts of their narrative is their mother-daughter relationship, which endures despite all the difficulties and arguments.